bit of a preface here. I was around 10 or 11 years old when this happened. Old enough to stay home alone, but not old enough to recognize some red flags. I attended camp over the summer, the typical 8 to 3 routine. My house is close to the end of my street, which forms a U, but for some reason, the bus driver would never drop me off at my house. I would always get dropped off at the end of my street, where I would toddle myself along back home. Both of my parents worked late hours, sometimes not getting home until 8 p.m., and it would be very expensive to hire a babysitter for 4 to 5 hours a day, 5 days a week. So, starting 6th grade, when the bus dropped me off at home, I would be by myself. I'd do the usual middle school routine, play games online, and watch TV. Occasionally my neighbor's cat would come into my backyard, and I would feed and pet her as a way to get outside. The only computer in the house was in my dad's workroom, which has a window overlooking the deck and a window overlooking the side of the house. We have large bay windows in the living room, dining room, and kitchen of my house. And since we sit on a hill, you can pretty much see the entire backyard from a nice vantage point. So most days, when I got home, I'd toss off my backpack and go right to that room. You could see me walk from my front door and pop up by the computer from outside. Unfortunately, this would lead to something that I had forgotten about up until now. When I got off the bus, I did as expected, go into my dad's workroom and play computer games. About 30 minutes into this, I can hear faint meowing coming from the outside window. I pause the game and look outside, thinking maybe my neighbor's cat had wandered over. Nothing. I just sat back down and resumed playing, only to hear the meowing again. It was quiet but noticeable, and so I checked the other window. Nothing again. This routine happened for a good 10 minutes, and eventually I got frustrated and went into the living room to watch TV. Not even 2 minutes later, meowing from the window I was sitting right beside. Now I was confused and a little creeped out, so I shut the blinds and kept trying to watch TV. The meows continued, but only when they came from the window right behind me did I jump and leave the living room, officially skeeved. I went into my bedroom where the blinds were down, but still cracked for some sunlight. I tried to read a book, only to hear a meow come from outside my bedroom window. This was enough to make me call my dad, concerned that maybe the cat was hurt, but I couldn't see it to be sure. He said he would have the neighbor come check it out and call me back later. 10 minutes go by, and I get a call from my dad saying he was coming home from work. Nothing urgent in his voice, just that his job had gotten canceled and he could come home early. I thought nothing of it, and only when he got home did I realize the cat noises had stopped. Fast forward to the present, and I asked my dad about the strange incident, thinking it was funny that the cat had followed me around. What he told me next made my blood run cold. After I called him, my neighbor did indeed come to check the house. What he found were large footprints leading in a circle all around the house, clustered close to the walls, so that even if I looked outside, I wouldn't see anything. Someone had been stalking me through my house, seeing where I was through the windows, and making cat noises to try and get me to come outside. They must have known I was home alone, since it was easy to see me walk myself down the street and let myself in. My neighbor immediately called my dad and searched the property, but found no one. The police weren't called, since there was nothing but footprints that led off into the woods and got lost, and I never saw anyone. My dad stayed home with me for the rest of the week. It sickens me to know that there are people that would use these tactics to try and lure kids out of their homes, and from there, do whatever they wanted with them. I used to live in a townhouse, duplex, by myself with my dog and 2 cats near a train station. There were often commuters who parked outside my place and passed by through the day and night. Occasionally, I had cigarettes or stuff stolen from my front veranda. I even had my next-door neighbor's ex-boyfriend come to my door, telling me he had a hitman after him, and he had a gun. But none of this scared me, like the night I was watched. My dog lives indoors, and I would take him out for a last wee before bed. My backyard light was broken and was up too high to change the bulb, so I always took him out the front. That night, it was around 11 p.m., and I took him out the front. It was a hot summer night, and I was mindlessly standing on the footpath when I saw movement across the road from me. Out of nowhere, a man had appeared and was walking diagonally across the street, away from me. I thought it was odd because I hadn't seen him come from the other direction. I continued to think about it. Where he came from was from outside of a house that was being renovated. I knew the owners weren't living there and thought maybe he was going to try and steal stuff. So I kept looking down the road to where he had gone. He had turned the corner down the next street. I kept watching, and then I suddenly see his head pop around the corner to see if I'm still outside. This gives me the absolute creeps, so I grab my dog and go inside. I turn off all my lights and go upstairs to my bedroom, which is at the front of the townhouse and faces the street. I thought I would keep watch of my neighbor's house and call the police if he came back. I peer through my blinds, which cover sliding doors coming off a small balcony, and like clockwork, I see a dark figure walk down from the corner and down my street. He's moving towards the house across the road, and then I suddenly lose sight of him. A tree outside of my townhouse obscures my view for a moment, and then he is there. He's not just there, he is stopped at the front of my driveway, standing there like fucking Jason Voorhees. I kid you not, his arms were out by his sides and legs apart in an unnatural stance, like he was preparing for something, like he wanted to come kill me. My heart is racing so hard, I can barely hear, and I'm standing there slack-jawed, looking at this would-be assailant, when one of my cats comes to see what's happening. My cat slides his body between the blinds and window, further opening it, and I see this person, this man, looking up towards me. I'm thinking surely he sees me. If he does, this doesn't stop him. He starts walking down my driveway, undeterred and fixated. I lose sight of him under the balcony and awning. By this time, my eyes are watering in fear, and tears are streaming down my face. I don't know what to do. I go sit on my bed. I pick up my mobile and dial my dad, who lives a suburb away. He answers. I whisper to him what was happening, and he said he will be there as soon as he can. I lie down in my bed and lie as still as I can, tears rolling down my cheeks. Pure fear, not knowing what this man was doing downstairs, and if he could get in. What if I hadn't locked the doors? And then it dawned on me. Why am I lying here in the dark, crying? Turn a light on. So I did. What seemed like a lifetime, but was probably just a couple of minutes later, my dad arrived. He had an umbrella with him. I live in Australia, so no guns, but he could have at least brought a knife. I stayed on the phone with my dad while he searched outside for the man. The man was gone. Maybe me turning on the light scared him off. I called the police, who said I should have called sooner. Of course, I should have. I don't know why I didn't. They came out with the sniffer dog and didn't find him either. I don't know what he wanted, but for a good year after that, I was so scared living there. I'm still a scaredy cat, but reading other stories makes me realize I'm not alone, and we can all learn from these experiences. So I, know what to do if something scary happens. It was a summer night, and I was around 8 or 9 years old. A group of 6 of us kids were playing manhunt, kind of like hide and seek, in our neighborhood. The street we played on was a dead end with a baseball field at the end. The field was undergoing construction, so there were big construction vehicles parked and big mounds of dirt. We were hiding and attempting to cross the field without getting caught by the opposing team. As we made our way across the field, a white truck flashed its light at us. We were startled because we didn't think there was anyone in the truck, and one of my friends started to run. I froze up and noticed 2 old men in the truck. The driver laughed as he rolled down his window and said,
"It's too late for little girls to be out alone."
He creeped me the fuck out. He had a thick mustache, wore big, thick glasses, and a baseball cap. We booked it out of there, and I don't remember much else from that night, other than the fact that one of my friends was so scared she literally pissed herself. Later on that week, one of my friends from that night and I were on one of our afternoon walks around town. As we walked by the town hall, something pulled me to take a closer look at one of the notices taped onto the window. It was a sex offender listing for the creepy driver of the white truck. Even at that young of an age, my friend and I were very aware of how dire a situation we could have been in that night. Hey friends, I just wanted to end this video by thanking you for your continued support. You all mean so much to me, and I hope that you're doing well. Please comment and like if you enjoyed. Take good care, and sweet dreams.